The NEC holding a special sitting today. It was expected to receive these outstanding reports on the Phala and digital vibes matters. Again, as Natasha said, the meeting is likely to conclude this evening, but it's anyone's guess as to what time. So let's talk about it with political analyst Asanda Ngoasheng. Good evening to you and welcome, Asanda. So you heard from our reporter there, just the lay of the land. It doesn't seem to be that the two issues that we're all expecting the Integrity Committee to deal with, that is Phala and digital vibes, are making it onto the agenda there. What are you assessing from the way things are coming together at that NEC meeting based on what we've heard so far?
I'm not surprised that both the reports that implicate two of the current top two nominees for the National ANC Elective Conference are not going to go ahead or likely to go ahead, because this is basically now it's a war of hearts, it's a war of minds, essentially, as both the Mkhize camp and the Ramaphosa camp are trying to make sure that the people who support them are kept, as hopeful about their chances for as long as possible, because releasing either Phala report or the report on digital vibes has the potential, if the reports are damning, essentially, they have the potential to hurt either of the teams. And so it makes sense that both of them would be delayed until kind of the last minute. This is classic ANC politics where, every single day in the run up to the National Elective Conference, it's going to be a new thing that journalists and everybody that watches politics is going to have to chase. And this is where we are. That's why we have these dramatic entries and dramatic exits that we've seen in the past couple of days.
So both matters, we're talking about digital vibes and Phala involve the two men up for the senior-most position in the party. This is the ANC's penultimate meeting before that conference kicks off, and as our reporter was saying there, it's likely these issues might only be discussed on the eve of that conference. What does it tell you, based on some of the comments you're referencing there that Zweli Mkhize made, likening the NEC meetings at the weekend as being sort of mafia-style and people having been muzzled, others, saying, well, there is an opportunity for people to speak their minds. Doesn't seem to be the case, does it?
Well, this is why I'm saying it's literally an ideological war at this point. You've got, just under a week for people to be convinced otherwise, whether to vote for Zweli Mkhize or to vote for Cyril Ramaphosa. And so, of course, each party and each side is going to be involved in a lot of mudslinging and a lot of accusations about the other side and the fairness of what's happening. And so, again, this is just basic, pure politics playing itself out. The sad thing is that it is politics playing itself out at the expense of South Africa, because when these things happen, the Rand responds. When these things happen, it has an effect on our economy. And as South Africans, we don't even get to really have a say outside of the just over 1 million members of the ANC. And this is a country of 66 million plus people who are kind of beholden to the whims of only 1 million people.
Yeah, and also beyond, just beyond the market moments, you would have seen in our opening story there around accountability and corruption, Chief Justice Zondo talking about, the insidious effects of corruption in terms of the living conditions of people across the length and breadth of our land. What pressure, Asanda, should the NEC be under to hold its people, especially its leaders, accountable? And it doesn't seem to, at least the optics are not there that it is intending to do that.
Well, we can't expect an NEC that itself is still battling its own charges. If you look at that list of 200, essentially it's a list of wanted, accused, and questionable characters. And so we can't expect those very same characters who are mentioned in state capture and mentioned in other, in other reports and other commissions for corruption to be the ones who are taking the lead and the charge. That we have, the leading political party of South Africa, who sits currently with a majority, sitting with two top candidates who are vying for leadership of the ANC and therefore leadership of South Africa, should the ANC win the elections. Both are under a cloud of corruption. And 2 reports are supposed to come out about the 2 top candidates. That tells you about the state of the ANC. And so we shouldn't be surprised when the NEC that, is led, as I said, by a kind of list of the wanted, is not acting as tough and is not calling for accountability as much when they are all basically about to gather to vote in one of the tainted members of society.
Quite a political burn you issued there, Asanda, that the ANC is made up of wanted, accused and questionable characters. There are some signals that if the Integrity Committee finds adversely on Ramaphosa, that he would and is being encouraged to appeal it, like he did the Section 89 panel and taking that matter or those findings on review. That's kind of been the president's modus operandi, hasn't it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it makes sense that he would keep appealing and appealing. That's ANC, again, ANC classic politics. Look at Jacob Zuma. His entire presidency was appeal after appeal. Now we have another president who's kind of walking the same path of accusations, appeals, and we might just be looking to another 5 years of the same thing if South Africans don't, vote the ANC out in the next election. That's essentially what we're going to be voting for, yet another presidency of yet another series of accusations and appeals. And by the way, whether it's Cyril Ramaphosa who wins or it's Zweli Mkhize who wins, we're going to go through exactly the same thing, accusations and appeals. That's why I'm saying we're sitting at the moment with a list of wanted, accused, questionable, because that is the state of this current ANC. And I've thought, for some time that maybe there was some hope that maybe somebody somewhere somehow will come and save the ANC, but in all indications are that it is beyond repairs. And I think, and I've said this many times, and I'm going to continue to say it, that South Africans need to make a decision about whether we are going to allow the ANC to drag us into, the depth of the banality of history, or if we are going to use our vote to take back our country. Because essentially what has happened is South Africa as a brand, as a country, has been hijacked by 1 million people who are now basically holding 6 million plus people hostage with their desire for putting in place corrupt people.
The views there of political analyst Asanda Ngoasheng. Thank you very much.